Let me share some behind the scenes details about The Killing from 1956. So, the initial test screenings were poor, citing the non-linear structure as the main problem. Kubrick was forced to go back and edit the film in a linear fashion, making it even more confusing of a film. In the end, it was released in its original form and is often cited as being a huge influence on films like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. So, as a result of that, though, there is a narrator in the film, and I'll just get into my thoughts on the plot. I give it a 4 out of 5. Just because of the narrator, I wish they picked a voice that didn't sound like a news broadcaster. I'm not the biggest fan of it. And to me, kind of took me out of the film. Because when I initially heard it, I thought it was someone talking over, like making an announcement at the horse race track. But no, that was the narrator. It was like, oh, this is the voice we're going to be hearing throughout the movie. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. But other than that, I like the plot. I like the scenes when they're the main villain. I don't know if, yeah, I'd call them villains. They're scheming, robbing the racetrack and whatnot. I like those ones. And I'll be talking about later on the camera work. And even this scene right here where the actual robbery takes place, just how chaotic it is and kind of how everything kind of falls apart. And you realize why it's called The Killing. I won't tell you why. I recommend checking it out, though, to kind of figure out why. It's pretty obvious, but yeah. Anyways, I really liked that. I wish the narrator was the actor for Johnny Clay. I like his voice, so I think he would have been much, much better, and it would have made sense narratively because, he's basically the main character of the movie. It should have been his voice narrating the film, kind of from his perspective, because what we do have almost is a third-person point of view, and again, it sounds like a news broadcaster. I'm not the biggest fan of it. All right, let's move on to the acting. The acting, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I actually thought it was really good. I love the cast. And I liked the actors that were a part of the scheme. They were the best for me. The only actress I didn't like was the wife of, what was his name? Georgie. I didn't like her very much. She's in the movie a bit too much for me. I just didn't like her acting. It was very over the top and hammy. She had the best lines for sure. I liked those, but I didn't like her acting. I wanted more time with these guys, the ones that are shown right here on screen there. But other than that, though, these guys are great. I like the scheming. I wouldn't even call it like Ocean's 11 because these guys are pretty much just bad guys and, pretty scheming and whatnot. They're not redeemable in the sense of like you like them. They're actually pretty brutal. So I thought that was interesting too. Well, that's why I gave it a 4 out of 5. All right, let's move on to directing. The directing, I gave it a 5 out of 5. So I've only seen a couple Stanley Kubrick films. This is one of them now. I've only seen this movie, 2001, Full Metal Jacket, Dr. Strangelove, Paths of Glory, and so now this movie. So I actually really liked what he did here. I liked how the scenes were set up and how they played out. It was very much in his style. I liked that a lot. And even with the weaker actors, I thought he did a really good job of kind of having the camera linger on them, and it felt very real. It didn't feel like they were acting really. It felt a lot more realistic. Other than, Georgie and his wife, they were pretty cheesy, but everybody else, it felt very realistic, especially Johnny Clay. He was the best. And the scenes, too, with the actual robbery going on and just how it all falls apart were really, really good, too. So that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5. Okay, so cinematography and special effects, again, 5 out of 5. It's immaculate. It is insanely good. Very creative. Like, there's scenes where Johnny Clay, he has the money in his car, and he's driving around, and there's a camera, like, right behind him, he's actually driving, That was really cool. There's a lot of other handheld scenes like that. But the best ones, for me, kind of pictured here, is when they're scheming and talking. Just how clean and pristine that camera work is. I mean, look at all the detail, and even in the shadows, you can see all the detail of the characters' faces and their costumes and whatnot. It was really, really good. And so that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5. It was really raw and very cinema verite, if you will. I really, really liked that. Okay, let's move on to music. Music, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's not very memorable and there isn't a whole lot in it. It's pretty raw, almost documentary style. So I would have liked some music though. I think they would have added to the tension and the suspense. There wasn't a whole lot. And what was there, it was pretty generic. It wasn't super memorable. Alright, so tallying that all up, that brings my Letterboxd score to a 4.2 out of 5, which I'll be rounding to a 4 out of 5. So, would I recommend this movie? And that's at 84% on Criticlist. Would I recommend this movie? Yes, I would. I think this is a great example of a film noir. You know, you got your femme fatale, you got the ambiguous character, you know, hero or whatever. Although nobody really is a hero. Everyone's pretty much a villain here. It's also a good Stanley Kubrick film. I think it's up there with one of his better ones. My personal favorite is still Paths of Glory. I thought that was an excellent, excellent movie and pretty interesting film. But this one's a good one too. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of his older ones, so I'm going to keep watching them. There's another one called The Killer's Kiss that's actually a part of... in fact, I got it right here. I got the Criterion release of it. And what's cool is, not only is it, you know, this movie, it's also The Killer's Kiss, which I believe is the original film he made, or at least an original idea of it. But yeah, it's got a little booklet inside. You know, you got the racetrack there, and on top of that, you got like, there aren't a whole lot of pictures in it, but you got the racetrack art there. That's pretty cool. All right, and then there's a scene in the movie where the characters are doing some target practice. So you got that character there. That was pretty cool. That's the disc. It kind of looks like a horseshoe. I thought that was pretty creative and clever. You know, because their luck runs out. So then that's the other side of it. Characters all shot out. I'll show you the disc up close. So that's the disc there. Like I said, it looks like a horseshoe. But also looks like the Criterion C. You know, because they're all out of luck. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good release too from Criterion. I was debating between this and the Kino Lorber one. I decided to go with Criterion though, just because I have so many of those, and I just love that cover right there. It's so cool. And it'll fit in with all the other ones I have. But yeah, that's it for my thoughts on The Killing from 1956. And that's today's movie review.